Golf, the gentleman's game, at least until someone snaps. We like to think of golf as calm, polite, and quiet. Whispered commentary, polos tucked in, applause that sounds more like polite rain than thunder. But every now and then, that perfect image completely collapses, and someone absolutely loses it. A player at his breaking point, a caddy pushed too far, or in some cases, a full-on hockey fight on the 18th fairway. In this video, we're diving into golf's scariest caddy and player blow-ups ever. Not just the viral clips you've already seen, but the backstory, the psychology, and how a gentleman's game can turn into pure chaos in seconds. And we have to start with the moment that broke the internet in 2023. Ryder Cup, Rome, Marco Simone Golf, a country club. Rory McIlroy is standing on the 18th green, eyes locked on a massive putt. The crowd is roaring, the tension is insane, and this putt could flip the momentum for Europe. But instead of silence, something else is happening. Patrick Cantlay has just buried a monster putt of his own. His caddy, Joe LaCava, is buzzing on pure adrenaline. He starts waving his cap in the air, celebrating, feeding off the crowd. That alone? Whatever. But then he keeps going. He's near Rory's line. He isn't moving. He's still in Rory's space while Rory is trying to prepare for his putt. In golf, that's not just rude, that's sacrilegious. Rory backs off. He stares at LaCava. Words are exchanged. Other players and caddies step in, trying to cool things off. But the damage is done. Rory misses. The Americans take the point, and the crowd, the media, the entire golf world explodes. But the real horror show doesn't happen on the green. It happens later, in the parking lot. Picture this. It's dark, floodlights glowing, cars lined up outside the clubhouse, everyone exhausted from the day. Then a camera catches a scene that looks more like a football tunnel fight than golf. Rory McIlroy is raging in the lot, screaming, pointing, absolutely fuming. He's yelling, "This can't happen, this is a disgrace." Shane Lowry, his Ryder Cup teammate, literally has to grab him and push him into a car to stop him from charging further. That visual, Rory, one of the calmest, most composed pros in the world, being physically held back by a teammate, shattered the idea that golf drama is just quiet resentment and passive-aggressive quotes. It was raw, emotional, and honestly, kind of terrifying. Because in that moment, you see how thin the line really is. Years of pressure, national pride, and golf's strict respect culture all colliding in one parking lot meltdown. But Rory isn't the only one to snap. Some guys turn their fury not on the crowd, not on the opponents, but on the person standing closest to them, their own caddy. Enter Sergio Garcia, a man so talented he won the Masters, and so volatile that Sergio Meltdown has basically become its own genre. One clip in particular lives rent-free in golf Twitter's head. The Open Championship at Royal Portrush. Sergio hits a bad tee shot. He's annoyed. Walking forward, the volunteer points where the ball went. You'd think he'd just curse under his breath and move on. Instead, he does something that made fans gasp. Without looking back, he literally throws his driver backwards at his caddy. Behind him is his brother, Victor Garcia, who's on the bag that week. The club makes contact with him. The crowd hears it, they see it. It's not a "whoops, slipped from my hand" moment. It's pure frustration launched like a weapon at his own blood. Imagine that dynamic for a second. Your brother is your caddy. He's there grinding with you, traveling, dealing with your mood swings, your wins, your losses. And in front of the entire world, you throw a club at him. Not the ball, not the turf, at him. That's one of the scariest parts of caddy player blow-ups. The power imbalance. The player is the star, the name on the leaderboard, the one getting the interviews and the endorsements. The caddy is the guy carrying the bag. So when that relationship turns ugly, it feels wrong on a deep level. You're watching a boss explode on an employee who's standing there with nowhere to go. And Sergio isn't some one-time offender. This is a guy with a highlight reel of tantrums, tearing up bunkers, slamming clubs, getting DQ'd for damaging greens. But that moment at Portrush, with his own brother on the receiving end, might be the most disturbing. Because it's not about a bad lie or a bad break. It's about losing respect for the person literally closest to you on the course. If that's not enough chaos for you, let's turn to a rivalry that turned golf into a meme factory. Brooks Koepka versus Bryson DeChambeau. Now, this isn't a classic player screaming at Caddy situation. This is more like a slow-burn psychological horror film told through eye rolls, press conferences, and social media. It starts with little things. Bryson's pace of play, his endless calculations, his obsession with numbers, speed, and physics. For some players, it's just quirky. For Brooks Koepka, it's pure torture. One interview changed everything. Koepka is trying to talk to the media, keeping it together. Then Bryson walks past behind the camera, spikes in the ground, being loud. Brooks stops mid-sentence. His face freezes. Then that now iconic eye roll happens. He looks like he's just seen his arch nemesis walk into the room. It's an expression of pure, unfiltered disgust. That clip goes viral. Memes, remixes, people editing Bryson into the background of random videos just to trigger Brooks' reaction. After that, the rivalry goes nuclear. Brooks makes comments about slow play. Bryson fires back with comments about having more abs than Brooks. Koepka responds by posting actual major trophies. Fans start chanting at tournaments. Even when they're not paired together, the tension follows them. This isn't screaming in a parking lot. This is a Cold War. But it's scary in a different way because the whole time, their caddies are stuck in the middle. They have to navigate pairings, practice rounds, fan energy, and their guy's mood every time the other one's name is mentioned. Imagine being Bryson's caddy and hearing fans yell "Brooksy" at your player every hole. Or being Brooks' caddy and knowing that one slow ruling, one delay, might set your guy off mentally. It's not a physical blow-up. But the hostility changes everything about how those teams operate. And speaking of fan energy, we need to talk about Patrick Cantlay and his hat. The 2023 Ryder Cup gave us more than just Rory versus LaCava. It also gave us one of the strangest and most relentless heckles in modern golf. "Where's your hat, Paddy?" Rumors begin swirling that Cantlay isn't wearing a team hat as some kind of protest over money. Whether that's exaggerated or not almost doesn't matter, because the crowd decides the narrative for him. Every time he walks, they chant. Every time he swings, they chant, "Where's your hat, Paddy? Show us your hat!" You can see it on his face. He's trying to lock in, to stay ice cold like he always does. But the more he buries putts, the louder they get. By the time he's on 18 draining that massive putt in front of Rory, he's basically playing inside a storm of mockery. And behind him, his caddy, Joe LaCava, throwing that hat celebration like gasoline on the fire. But what happens when you take all that golf intensity and mix it with social media, YouTube fame, and a former NHL enforcer? Welcome to the Internet Invitational. This wasn't your grandpa's golf tournament. This was a $1 million influencer showdown. Barstool, Bob Doe's Sports, YouTube golfers, personalities, big egos, big cameras, and even bigger stakes for their brands. At the center of the storm, Luke Kwan, legit talent, former PGA Tour China winner, YouTube favorite. He's the guy you want on your team in a clutch situation. There's just one problem. He doesn't show up. He literally sleeps through his tee time. Not just 5 minutes late. Fully misses the start. In a high-stakes filmed event with money and reputations on the line. Back at the clubhouse, his partner, Ryan Whitney, former NHL defenseman, is boiling. Hockey culture is different. In that world, if you don't show up, if you let your team down, you don't get a quiet chat. You get called out. Hard. Luke finally walks into the buffet area. The cameras are rolling. Whitney sees him and lets loose. "Attaboy, Luke. Great job, Luke. We appreciate it. Get some lunch in you. Too good for the Internet Invitational, huh?" It's sarcasm turned into a weapon. You can see Luke shrinking, trying to play it cool, but the room is ice cold. It's public humiliation in real time. Not in a locker room, not behind closed doors. In front of millions of viewers. The internet divides instantly. Some people think Luke deserves it. You don't miss $1 million tee time. Others think Whitney crossed every line of golf's respect culture, turning a mistake into a public flogging. What makes this blow-up especially scary is the new layer, virality. Old-school blow-ups used to live on TV replays and highlight packages. This one lives in clips, stitches, reaction videos, comment threads. Luke ends up making an 18-minute apology video. Whitney ends up defending himself later, realizing how bad it looked even if he felt justified in the moment. Now it's not just player versus caddy, or player versus player. It's player versus teammate versus the entire comment section of the internet. But if you think that's the peak of chaos, you haven't seen what happens when golf meets pure street fight energy. Let's talk about the viral Canadian golf fight. Picture a chill round at a Canadian course. Green fairways, calm water hazards, friendly vibes. Then throw in one former NHL enforcer and one guy who definitely picked the wrong person to mess with. It starts like a lot of on-course fights do. Slow play, bad etiquette, maybe a ball lands too close. Words are thrown back and forth. You can hear the classic lines, "Hit into us again and see what happens." You want to go? But here's the thing. Hockey guys don't ask, "You want to go?" as a figure of speech. They mean it. One man grabs another, shoves escalate. Next thing you know, one guy is literally getting picked up and tossed into the lake beside the fairway. Not metaphorically. His body hits the water. Clubs are on the ground, people are yelling, phones are out, catching every frame of it. This isn't a viral trick shot. This isn't a funny golf cart crash. This is a full-on fight. The kind of thing that, in any other sport, might be normal, but in golf looks absolutely insane. Because in golf, we're used to controlled anger, a club slam, a muttered swear, a death stare. Seeing someone get manhandled and thrown into a hazard, when it cracks, the explosions are way more shocking than in any other sport. Because we're not expecting it here. We don't expect to see a Masters champion throw a driver at his brother. We don't expect to see one of the world's calmest players screaming in a parking lot like he's about to fight someone. We don't expect a fun YouTube tournament to turn into a psychological beatdown at the buffet line. We definitely don't expect a guy to get suplexed into a pond. That's why these blowups go viral. Not just because they're messy, but because they show that even in the so-called gentleman's game, emotions can get ugly, fast. So the next time you watch a golfer calmly read a putt while the commentator whispers, "Remember what's underneath." The years of grind, the money on the line, the teammates, the caddies, the expectations, the fans who will freeze 1/2 second of your worst moment and replay it forever. Sometimes, the scariest thing in golf isn't the water hazard or the out of bounds. It's what happens when a human being who's expected to be perfect finally breaks. If you want a part 2 where we go even darker, busted clubs, banned players, fans crossing insane lines, let me know in the comments. Tell me which blowup shocked you the most, and if you've ever seen a meltdown on your local course that deserves its own story. And if you enjoyed stepping into golf's unfiltered side, hit subscribe, like the video, and share it with that one friend who still thinks golf is boring. Trust me, they won't say that after this.